All right, and we're recording. So thanks everyone, those who are able to join live and those who are watching the recording. We're back on track with the Service Fabric Community Q&A, this one being number 66. We have Bhaskar and others from the Service Fabric team who will be presenting with us today. A quick reminder that this call will be recorded and will be shared out afterwards onto the Service Fabric Community YouTube channel, as well as within the community where this webcast was announced. We'll be monitoring the chat for any questions or comments throughout, so go ahead and bring them. And without further ado, Bhaskar, go ahead and take it away.
Thanks a lot, Caesar. So thanks everyone for taking out the time for the session, whoever is attending live or whoever is taking the time to watch it on the YouTube. I'll go ahead and start presenting a couple of, I would say, placeholder slides. This session today, it's mostly going to be an informational, and I would like it to be conversational. And the outcome that we are expecting of this session is to just have, I would say, a check-in and also reinforce and to inform the upcoming VM image deprecations of our star with container images. Now, why is it important? Because a bulk of the usage, and that's our telemetry data, that a bulk of the VM images that are being used in our Service Fabric cluster, both internally and externally, heavily use these type of VM images. So it's important that the SF community as a whole is aware about these deprecation timelines. Even though the deprecation, I would say the announcements were sent, or the timeline started last year, starting from September. Then there was, I would say, there was a check-in or a reminder sent in May. And the last set of reminders or so-called information about this deprecation was sent as late as September of this year, I think September last week or October first week. So probably this is a good time to just do a check-in, at least let all you partners know about what is happening and how we as a SF team can help you with the migration and what are the implications of this VM image migration. Just have some patience. This is the first time I'm doing the presentation on Teams using the PPT, and I must say the integration is pretty awesome. So, okay, means this housekeeping rules and everything, I think Caesar has already covered it, so I won't spend too much time on it. But again, this is a close-knit community. There's a closed group, so hopefully, until unless you check in with some of our community advisors, please don't tweet, please don't recast, and all those hygiene factors. So I'll just skip through this one. Okay.
Actually, if I could actually just jump in there, is this a community call or an NDA call?
Caesar, this is a community call or an NDA call. I thought that is a community call, right, Caesar?
Yeah. So Bhaskar, we can actually do either. Historically, with the Service Fabric community calls, those were actually posted even to the YouTube channel afterwards. However, if there's NDA content here, we can absolutely keep this one internal and then have a separate public call, in the upcoming month, something like that.
No. This is not an NDA call. This is as good as being a community call. This is a community call.
Perfect. Yeah, in that case, this one will be one of the public Q&A community calls, and it will be shared on the YouTube afterwards.
Okay, super. Thanks for clarifying, and thanks for asking that, Whit. Much appreciated. So kind of the overview of the session. Again, I tried to keep it like the what, why, and how. Before that, I think I didn't introduce myself. My name is Bhaskar, and I am a product manager on the Service Fabric team. Recently joined Microsoft and Service Fabric and just loving it. And thanks a lot for the vote of confidence, like customers and partners like Whit you shown with Service Fabric. I know in the past, we haven't been able to have a good momentum about keeping our partners informed about all the great stuff that our team is doing over here. But hopefully, with the coming new year, we would be, I would say, much more regular, both on our web presence and on our community engagement presence. So that's an action item for us, and then we'll make sure that we raise the bar on the community engagement. Okay, with that, again, the session is about what is happening, why is the VM images getting deprecated, and how can you folks respond? And then I can open the forum for question and answers. And in case if we don't have any specific question and answer regarding to VM image deprecation, we can always take some question answers about general service fabric questions. And in case we are not able to answer them, for sure we will come back to you folks post our session. So what is happening? So come April 28th, in fact, sorry, there's a typo. It's not 28th April, it's 30th April 2023. And I will correct that. The with container VM images, that is like the 2016, like the 2016 data center. Wait, what is happening? Okay, sorry. I'm sorry that there was some tech issues with my system. So what is happening? The star with container VM images, that is 2016 with container data center or 2019 with container data center VM images will start becoming unavailable in the Azure image gallery. Now, when that happens, the effect that it is going to have on your service is all the critical lifecycle management operations on the VMs, such as reimaging or such as scale-outs, will start failing, and which would affect the health of your service. Okay, so that is what is happening. Also, another repercussion is that earlier you folks would have, if you're using containerized workloads on Service Fabric, the support for the Mirantis container runtime, which was erstwhile Docker Enterprise Edition runtime, came bundled with the with the 2019 or the 2016 VM images licenses itself. Going forward, that is not going to happen. So that bundled imaging and that bundled licensing aspect is going to go away. What that means is earlier Microsoft was your one-stop shop for all, I would say, all the issues related to Service Fabric or the downstream impact with the container runtime. So you don't have to go ahead and buy a license for the container runtime management or the container runtime support itself. That came pre-bundled with 2019. You raised the single ICM, and Microsoft was responsible for providing you the support for it. However, that is going to change. So why is this happening, or why is this deprecation happening? So deprecation is happening because primarily because Mirantis decided to change its licensing construct. And again, this goes back to circa September 2021, where we said that, okay, now in order for folks to get support for their container runtimes, that is on Mirantis container runtime, that has to be an out-of-band licensing purchase that you need to do directly with Mirantis folks itself. Okay. Also, this is a good time for folks to really reevaluate the most optimum option for your workloads, whether you would really like to run containerized workloads on Service Fabric. If that is the thing, if this is the runtime, that means the container, Mirantis container runtime or Docker E is the best runtime for your workloads. And those are the primary reasons. In fact, the primary reasons being the Mirantis licensing construct. In fact, they were ready to nuke off the licensing ended in September of this year, and the Service Fabric team took the mantle and went ahead and got the exception to get the license extended up to April 2023 to allow partners like you folks to have enough time to do the migration. Okay. Before I go into how to respond, I'd like to take a break over here and a pause and just address any questions if we have for the folks who are joining live with us. So if you have any questions, please shoot away. I'll be more than happy to answer you. And sorry to put you on a spot if I just ask picked on you that if you have any questions. So please feel free to ignore.
So I guess this is just a part of Service Fabric I never really dived into a whole lot. This largely means that all the Docker container stuff disappears, right?
So it's a much more nuanced that. So when you say all the Docker stuff disappears, could you unpack that statement for me? Because like there are like too many things in there. Yeah.
So I mean, because there's a bunch of different ways to write Service Fabric stuff, right? There's the there's the integrated SDK through the stateful, stateless actor runtimes.
Mhm.
But then there was always some way of loading containers and just kind of using Service Fabric as a container orchestration.
Mhm.
To what extent does this impact the just general container orchestration?
So from a perspective of container orchestration, the thing is, if your underlying VM image is using the with container, so your containers will need to be running on a container runtime, right? That runs on the node. Okay. Now, come 30th April 2023, that image along with the runtime would not be available anymore. And also, you will be out of license if you would be still using the 2019, data center with containers. So that is what the impact is going to be.
I get you. Okay. Yeah, I won't be impacted.
Okay, so because you're not using the VM image itself, or you're not using?
Yeah, both. I pulled up my my bicep script. We're both not using that image, and I mean, for the most part, we haven't used Service Fabric for containerized services, since you can't have mixed OS clusters, and there just aren't. I guess I wasn't able to find a whole lot of container images that are made for Windows computers.
Okay. And Chris, sorry, I forgot mentioning you. So Chris, you have any questions at this point of time that I may be able to answer for you? Okay.
None right now.
Okay, cool. Super. How to respond to this one? So the way to respond is, the first and foremost thing is, as we said, it depends upon your use case. Okay. If you folks are using containerized workloads, the options or the work involved would be a little more involved, and there would be a more lift to it because you're changing the container runtime itself. In either of the options, whether you're using containerized workloads or not, or you're using containerized workloads or no containerized workloads, you still have to get off the VM image. To get off the VM image, we do have options, which is basically the OSQ upgrade is a well-documented option, which is there on our tech docs. And if you refer to this URL, which is aka.ms/sfcontainer-guidance, it talks about it. However, the node type upgrades, or the OSQ type, I would say the OS SKU upgrades, using the node type, introducing a new node type, is the most, I would say, risk-averse option. However, it is time-taking, and we are aware of it. There is a faster in-place option available for customers who want to use it, as long as your VM image has the same publisher and offer. So if your target VM image to which you are migrating to has the same publisher and offer, you can use the ARM templates to do in-place OS upgrades. However, there are some caveats with the OS upgrades. That is, again, as with any kind of VM SKU operation, there might be a risk of data loss. So try it in your non-prod environments. At least our internal tests have shown that they work absolutely fine. However, when you are dealing with stateful services, there might be the chances of loss of data. And since VM SKUs upgrades, like the OS upgrades, don't offer rollbacks, that is the area that we would like the customers to be very well aware of. Again, a very detailed, I would say, a decision tree along with the different risk profiles and the different risks with the options are documented in the URL that we are that's mentioned over here. For containerized workloads, the option that we support right now is to migrate to the VM containers provided by Mirantis, which come pre-baked with the Mirantis container runtime. Again, this should be like a no-op operation and should be like a OSQ upgrade because the container runtimes are not changing. However, if folks, and again, the Mirantis container runtime has a pricing attached to it. Last I checked, it was somewhere around 0.04 to 0.10 per hour or per minute. I need to check. And I think they had a flat pricing of $900 per year per node. Again, I think the pricing and the licensing is something that you folks have to work directly with Mirantis. And what it provides you is that bundled coverage, which earlier you were getting from the with container VM images. The other option for folks running containerized workloads is to use Moby. Again, for that, you need to have your own VM image, have a way to provision the Moby runtime into it, and then migrate to it. The caveat over there is Service Fabric doesn't support or doesn't cover the production support for any Moby runtime issues. So we will be more than happy to go ahead and provide you support on generic SF issues. But if those SF issues are because there was some bug or something happening with the runtime, unfortunately, that has to be either solved through community support or other mechanisms. So for production workloads, our preferred option is to use the VM containers, and they are already available and published in the Azure image gallery provided by Mirantis. We have office hours, which is basically twice a week, and it covers both the PST and I would say the Eastern times. It's on Tuesdays, it's on Mondays and Wednesday. Please reach out to the alias SF container support at Microsoft.com, and we'll be more than happy to extend the invite to you. These office hours will continue up till first week of December. And post holidays in January, we will publish new office hour timings. With this, having said that, this is the information that we wanted to convey. I'll take a pause over here and open the forum for any questions that you folks will have. Okay, thanks a lot for being such, I would say, such a supportive crowd. Much appreciated, Chris and Whit. And in case if you have any other questions around Service Fabric, more than happy to answer them and ensure that your time is well justified on this call. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I just don't have any questions for this one. Just we just never really used the containerized stuff. Just didn't really have a need to yet. So
Okay.
Anyway, sounds like a real bummer for anyone that has to do that, but there's migration paths.
Oh, you bet.
That's cool.
It's more than bummer, but yeah, but yeah, I mean, and again, I mean, if I could request Whit and Chris, in your circles, if you know folks who are using, Service Fabric, please spread the word. Means we are aggressively reaching out to everyone out there. However, I mean, you folks are our partners and our force multipliers, so any help would be great.
Is it only people who have deployed a cluster that use the container that's getting that email? Because I don't think I've seen this email.
If your subscription is using these VM images,
Gotcha.
You would have got an email around it.
Gotcha. I don't know. I might suggest even just shipping it out to anyone who's got any Service Fabric instance, just as a heads up, in case they're planning on using these images.
That's a great point. In fact, to answer that point, with what we are doing is, I think starting November 29, that's when our changes will start getting reflected. At least if you are using the portal as an ingress to create your new SF clusters, these with container images won't be available in the dropdown. However, yes, you can use the ARM template and create it. Plus, you will have a banner which just says that there is a deprecation timeline coming in, and will link to the call to action would be going to this URL. So
sure. Because I guess I think I'm fairly on top of Service Fabric stuff, but I don't think I've noticed this yet. So, like I said, it doesn't impact me, which is helpful. But
I saw the notice somewhere else, but I can't remember where.
maybe in one of the release notes or something. I don't know.
Again, means if you have a cluster, if you have, I would say, the fleet in any of your services, if you're using this VM image, you would get it, not particularly if you're using it. So if you're using it within, if your Service Fabric cluster is not using this VM image within your cluster, I think you folks wouldn't have got that notification. And might be Chris is somewhere else using these VM images in their fleet, and they would have got it. But great point with what we'll do is, try to have like a more broader coverage just to let folks know and have some programmatic mechanism to ensure that there are no net new clusters or net new nodes being spun up using this VM image.
Okay,
Okay,
well,
it.
I guess other questions then. So I fielded some questions from some of the people in the ACP who aren't able to make these calls. What is the official support or roadmap for .NET 7 in Service Fabric now that has just come out?
I will have to check and get back to you on that one, because we do have it, but I don't have that information at the top of my head. We do have the roadmap and we do have the information, but it'll be great if you can just, send an email to us or to Caesar, and we'll make sure that, we have that information to you folks, and then make it available to the broader community.
Do you know of any, I guess, any concerns about anything that breaks with .NET 7? So is there any limitation for why I shouldn't just jump to using it myself, given its significant performance improvements?
Again, as I said, means the short answer, if I can give you, is try it out and see. But yeah, but I would like to just stay away from that and not send you on a wild goose chase. So just send us those questions and we'll make sure that we ensure that we answer those.
Okay. We can do that. And then for Service Fabric.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
Real quick to interrupt. Sorry. What would be the best channel to make sure we address the audience in whole, not just you, Whit? Like, should we post it to ACP or GitHub? Kind of side note, or give a suggestion?
I think ACP would probably be the most lively audience. And then, especially if just responding to any inquiries on GitHub is always a plus.
Thank you.
At least that's where I solicited all these questions. It was just on the thread announcing this call.
Yeah, Chris.
Yep,
any
exactly
additional questions? Oh, go ahead, Caesar.
Oh, I was just going to say, I'm clicking thumbs up, but verbally thumbs up from my side as well. Go ahead, Majula.
Yeah, I was just going to agree. Definitely post your question into the ACP, and then we'll take it from there and make sure everyone gets connected.
Great. Okay, so then, and I guess this may fall to you, Mike. The roadmap for Service Fabric YARP and for Trafic, are they considered more feature complete, or is there still open work to be done on each of them? Can we look forward to partition support?
So yes, that's a good question. So we'll get back to you probably honestly after the holiday period right now. We do consider them GA. I wouldn't call them feature complete. I would call them a 1.0 release. We are aware of some open issues, or I said feature requests, like you're mentioning here, like additional partition support. So we'll have better guidance coming into the new year as to where we're going to invest in each one respectively in our plans forward there. Because that was kind of put on hold for the past few months. We've been hiring some new folks taking over the space, so we're making sure we're all aligned there on a roadmap. And as Bhaskar was highlighting in this call, the containerization migration story has been a big impact internally, so we've been prioritizing that work due to the impact on our customers. So we'll get back to that. It'll likely, like I said, be early January.
Okay, great. I mean,
Great
a
question.
big thanks to the team for the recent release a couple months ago, adding the host space
VR,
route
yeah.
matching. That was
Yeah.
fantastic timing for a need that I had.
Yeah.
So-
So if there's anything critical, I will just certainly make sure it's recorded too. If there's anything critical, like an absolute blocker, please raise an issue. Please notify us via that channel, and we are watching it. So I'm not aware of any critical blockers right now, though.
And we've been trying to get Service Fabric YARP working with gRPC endpoints and been having
Mhm.
some issues. Is there any plans to make it work with gRPC?
Yeah, if you can, these things are kind of tough because they require us to set up test frameworks to get the end-to-end story right. So if you can provide an issue with any kind of detail, trace level,
Okay.
debug data, kind of what your scenario is, I'll say the more detail, the better, and then we can look at reproducing that.
We've been
I'm
going
not-
in and we cloned the GitHub repo and made a couple of changes to make it work.
Oh, you did? Okay. And we're
Oh,
glad
wow.
to take contributions too there. So just to
Okay.
call out, I'll call the obvious, but it is an open source repo on purpose. So if you are able to make changes and provide improvements to the product, please open a PR. We will definitely review those. I know we've already accepted some PRs and with contributions. So
Okay.
great feedback. Yeah. Thanks for opening up that topic, Whit.
Yeah. Peel open that can of worms. Okay, so I guess I just noticed that the Fab Act Butil is one of the open source that's sitting in the services and actors repo. So I'm gonna definitely peer through that. But is there any active work on that tool since I know that is used to make changes to the application manifest and the service manifests at build time? Is there any work in that to make it easier to use managed identities in local development clusters? Since right now, there's a whole, there's the little section in the service configs, there's the section in the app config that is, if you leave it in there at local runtime, it breaks everything because it's expecting to see these resources in Azure and it's not. Is there any in progress work to I guess automatically remove that and restore it depending on the build target?
Not that I am aware of. Means Mike is much closer to it. So Mike, do you have any inputs on that? You're on mute in case if you're trying to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any inputs. I'll have to get back to you on that, Whit. I'll just tag Divya verbally in case she does, but I don't have anything specific on that. Did you put that as a
even I don't have much input towards that side. I need to take a look at it, and we'll keep you posted.
That's fair. That's fair. Just there's just a few little notes about the local development experience that always nice to improve that. It's free to run on my computer. It's expensive to run in Azure.
Oh,
Can you write that up?
Feedback.
Sorry, Whit. Can you write that up to us? I know you've done that in the past, and then we'll address
absolutely,
it.
please. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So sorry, Whit, we gave you a bunch of writing assignments. So hope you have your weekend sorted. So
all good. I guess building on that, I had typed up a number of feature requests for the managed stuff.
okay.
And man, there's at least a period. I get that the containerized stuff has probably taken priority recently, but there was a period at least at the beginning of the year that man, y'all just blazed through them all. Are there any plans to tackle the remainder? So again, mixed operating system clusters. At least speaking to the containerized workloads, there aren't a whole lot of Windows-based containers that are, almost every container I would want to use is Linux-based, and at least managed Service Fabric deployments only support Windows. So are there plans to either change the managed Service Fabric deployments to not require Windows, which would be great because Linux is so much cheaper, or allow at least mixed OS clusters and limit that by node type?
I would have loved to give you like a sneak peek if one of our PMs who is directly responsible for Service Fab SFMC, who's taken over from Mike. But for sure, it's on our radar. But again, if we stack rank our priorities, right now, this is something which is really, ensuring that, partners like you are keeping the lights on. And then we have some big names which are still running on these images. So once this is taken care of, maybe when we start planning for our new year, for sure, we will have a look at that list. And one of the things that we need to at least have a position on and have a point of view on is the Linux support for managed clusters, as you brought out. So for sure, we will have a point of view. But again, it's a forward-looking statement. So I just don't want, to make the statement that yes, it's on our radar. So
Sure.
I'll just leave it out there.
So it's bubbling somewhere, maybe.
Yeah, might be.
Well, and then I guess
I can confirm. Yeah, I will confirm it continues to bubble. Like Bhaskar's saying, it's just not committed. We don't have an ETA yet. So
excellent.
But we have, it's a high priority discussion constantly. I know we've told you this, but it continues to be a discussion. So
as long as it is, I mean, because especially mine's a little startup. So the biggest thing top of mind is the cost of things, and my goodness, Windows is expensive.
You bet. But I hear your pain. I used to run infrastructure and site reliability for a startup, which went to bust. And I hear you. I hear you.
Forever trying to keep that from happening. But especially since it's been a couple months since we had one of these calls, I just wanted to shout out thanks to, I assume his name is Jeff, whoever is in charge of the Service Fabric Explorer, for being really on top of accepting PRs.
We will surely go ahead and convey it. And as part of your writing assignment, if you can drop a thank you note, I'll make sure that reaches to him. Okay.
Right.
Thanks a lot.
And I guess that's well, no, I guess just throwing it out there as a wish list item. I guess in the last couple of weeks, and just really as even last couple of months now, there's a lot of different services in Microsoft. I guess not necessarily services, projects in Microsoft that tried to address a bunch of microservice problems. I guess I was going through the Service Fabric issues the other day, and someone mentioned Coyote. Had never heard of it. Looks really cool. It's like actors with a testing first philosophy. You've got Orleans. They just I'm not really sure what changed, but somehow they're a lot more visible. From a more remoting streams perspective. Happy holidays as well, Mike. You've got, of course, Dapper is really big on the traceability, observability. Reactor was a newly open source project for kind of more reactive data processing for pub sub stuff. There's a lot of stuff in this area of how to improve communication between services in a way that almost all of them can run on top of Service Fabric. Service Fabric, I guess, is the only one with a distributed runtime between them all. Is there anything active in the Service Fabric world? I guess the Service Fabric actors themselves are a little bit older at this point and haven't really changed much recently. Are there any ongoing projects to bring a next generation kind of Service Fabric actor that can kind of start to make use of some of these other huge kind of leaps forward in usability that are active in other Microsoft projects?
That's a good point. And in fact, I would say, as part of our portfolio and part of our offering, we are constantly, looking at things, how we could make it simpler for our customers to make these choices, and also ensuring that as much as possible, the interoperability is there. So I can assure you that means, my leadership or as a product management group, we are looking at those. And in fact, you know what, I would for sure invite that once you have time post holidays, we should at least you and a couple of us from the SS product folks, and I can invite some of my engineering leaders to just have a freewheeling conversation with you. Might be that could be like an NDA chat, and just get an idea, because you coming in, bringing in that customer perspective, and especially when you have been, a long time user of Service Fabric, we could really, use it as, I would say, as a sounding board on things that would really excite you. Means we can't promise that it'll be on the roadmap or not, but it's great to, tap on and leverage your expertise. So
it'd be great. I guess in build this last year, there was some kind of a, I don't know what you call it. It was a weird roundtable sort of thing. In that they called it, containerized services and whatever. It's more of a, you could kind of schedule this call. They do a roundtable discussion, and they named it oddly, in that apparently the entire Microsoft team that showed up was all AKS. And almost all the customers that showed up were Service Fabric. And so we didn't have a whole lot to really say to each other because it was so generically named. But I guess as part of the call, the conclusion was there just aren't a whole lot of customers that kind of need the just truly mass distributed system that Service Fabric really brings to the table. But there are at least some of us out there, and unfortunately, we are probably all startups that are not super cash rich. So it's really great that at least the Service Fabric team is open to little tiny the feedback from tiny customers like myself that we're not a huge spend on Azure yet. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I mean, you used the right word yet. Means I hope you folks, really become the unicorns and don't forget us when you're doing your IPO. But yeah, but coming back to the point, for sure, with just shoot us an email. Means Caesar would be and the ACP team would be more than willing and helping us to facilitate those conversations. And trust me, we are open to those feedback, because there's good feedback and there's like very good input for us, and to ensure that our roadmap incorporates all these feedbacks and all these signals that you folks are providing. So I will please I would say engage with Caesar, and then he can let us know, and we can get that small group conversation going, and maybe then make it like a quarterly or some cadence to that, so that it's not happening during these big events and then it loses traction. So let's put that thing together.
Yeah, great. Well, that's all I got.
Super. Thanks a lot for being such an involved participant, Whit and Chris. Much appreciate your time. And yeah, we will wait to hear back from you. And Caesar, Magella, and everyone on the ACP team, thanks a lot for again doing a fab job. Thank you. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. As always, we're happy to facilitate all of those discussions. Chris, Whit, as always, we dropped the quick survey on your feedback on today's session. Let us know what went well, what you want to hear more about from the Service Fabric team for the upcoming sessions, as well as from other teams across the community. One more time, we'll thank you again, Bhaskar, for hosting today's session. We're looking forward to getting these back on track, hopefully monthly on that third Thursday of the month going forward. And if nothing else, I'll hand it back to you to close us out.
Thank you, much appreciated. And again, means we are here to listen to you. Please use the alias for any queries. For any queries, you can always raise a support ticket, reach out to us on alias. But specifically for migration, this is a alias that we will be monitoring. And again, office hours happens twice a week on Monday and Wednesday. Please be aware that these are like community office hours. There might be other 3P participants or other 3P customers on this call, and they will happen in both PST friendly timing and I would say the Asia friendly timing. So it happens in the PST afternoons, 2 to 2:45, and PST 7:30 p.m. till 8:15 p.m. So depending upon where you are, please we'll be more than happy to accommodate you and accommodate your timings. And again, use the documentation link, aka.ms/sfcontainer-guidance, to get more information about how to migrate. And again, thanks for being, a partner with us with Service Fabric, and we look forward to hearing back from you. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you
Great.
very much
Thanks
for your
again.
time.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you in the next one.
Cheers. Bye.
All right, thanks.
Bye.